also Ashley. Ashley Nicole. The Knicks lose to the Chicago Bulls. You know, what was the score again? 110.
102.
Yeah, sorry, 110 to 102. The Chicago Bulls were the fifth best 3-point shooting team in the league. The Knicks were coming off a back-to-back with the Clippers. We started off pretty slow. It seemed like the defense really didn't pick up until the fourth quarter. We were in the doldrums. R.J. Barrett fouled out quickly along with Mitchell Robinson. And it seemed like the Knicks just really didn't get it together on the defensive end. You know what I'm saying? The transition defense was bad. Closing out on threes were bad. The spirit was bad. It seems like we had tired legs out there. But it seemed like in the fourth quarter we tried to get it together. We actually started to put up some fight, and we actually we tied the game for a brief second in the fourth quarter with about 3 minutes to go, thanks to Emmanuel Quickly and Julius Randle. But we made some critical mistakes in the fourth quarter that ultimately cost us the game. Ash, let me know what your thoughts are on this game.
Yeah, it was messy. It was vintage New York Knicks and not in a good way. It reminded me of the years and the seasons where games were close and right in our grasp and everything that could go wrong, we did wrong. And I mean, against a team like the Bulls, who really only have one guy, Zach LaVine is really the only guy they can consistently rely on, I would say. And it shouldn't have been as difficult as we made it. And I just think that this is typical New York Knicks. I think there's a lot of things. One, we abandoned the defense. The defense looked like Swiss
Absolutely.
cheese. Some parts were solid, and there were a lot of holes in the rest of it. I think we don't know who our closer is. I think
Mm-hmm.
we keep going back and forth on who that person's going to be. I think we can't play anybody one on one, at least not in this game. I think we weren't good at kicking the ball out and keeping the possession alive and trying those second, third shot opportunities. And on top of that, they were killing us on the boards. We weren't getting any rebounds. So it's hard to go ahead and prevent the other team from scoring when they're out there getting their own rebounds consistently. It was just a lot of different things going on, and it was messy. It was a disaster.
Yeah, especially for me, what stood out for me was the 3-point shooting as well. We only shot 20% from the 3-point line today. And listen, this is a make or miss league, right? If you don't make your shots, you lose these type of games. The the Bulls, they hit threes, and marketing came in and he handed it to us. Man. He definitely handed it to us. I feel like the Knicks dropped the ball on the 3-point defense in particular. Julius Randle, who I think he's been playing pretty good defense on the year, but I felt like today he was a little bit lackadaisical on that side of the ball, not closing out. RJ Barrett, I saw, got beat back door a few times. I felt like we missed the ball, and we had the game. We were right in grasp to take
Yeah.
this lead.
Yeah.
God, we just
That's
couldn't get over the hump, man.
Yeah, that's the frustrating part though, because it was like back and forth, and then midway through the fourth, it looked like we were able to kind of figure it out. I mean, I'm gonna say even towards the end of the fourth, the last 3 minutes, like my anxiety was through the roof because it was like it was right there,
Right.
and it's just like it was, almost only counts in horseshoes, and this was horseshoes.
Yeah.
It didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Corey, What do you think of this game, man? I know you probably enjoyed this game. Shout out to Corey Taluba. Uh, Born New Yorker. He's a Chicago fan, so he's gonna give us some insight on the Chicago and these Bulls. But what did you think of this game, Corey?
You know, I knew that this game was going to be the Bulls kind of to win after the first quarter, because the Bulls play at the second fastest pace in the league. The Knicks play the slowest pace. And if after the first quarter, you knew the Bulls were getting out in transition, they were hitting the boards, they were getting rebounds, and they were kind of dictating the pace of play. So I felt really comfortable as a Bulls fan with how the game was going from
Okay.
almost the jump. And I think it's going to be interesting, on this little back to back to see if the Knicks could adjust. But I think that these are two teams that are in a similar spot. They both have one guy who is kind of playing above expectations, on a good contract, kind of a young veteran who had somebody behind them in in the Knicks case, Obi with Julius, and in the Bulls case, Kobe with Zach LaVine, and they're both kind of stepping up and balling out, and it was just gonna kind of be a game of who took the Bulls by the horns. And I do have to say, I thought Julius came out aggressive, and I think the Knicks did a really good job slowing Zach LaVine, but unfortunately Lauri Markkanen was really doing whatever he wanted. And you mentioned Julius's defense, and Lauri's a really tough cover, I think, for the Knicks.
Yeah.
If you put Mitch on him, you're taking away your rim protection. And with Julius, Lauri, especially when he's got it going, when he's aggressive, when he's hitting shots, you mentioned him closing out. If he doesn't close out hard enough, he's, giving up an open three. And when he closes out too hard, Lauri can put it on the floor. So, it's just one of those games, and he's been playing really well. He's playing confidently. And, it's one of those games that could have gone either way. The Knicks, they made their little run, but at the end of the day, I think the Bulls, they just dictated the pace. And I think, they're a team that they got to play slow. They got to grind it out. They don't have like all of those consistent shooters when the game gets tight. Like IQ, definitely,
Right.
He came out, he made some big shots, but, Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, like these are guys that you're not always counting on in the fourth quarter, and that's why they kind of bounce around the league a little bit. So,
I agree with you. I agree with you there, man. And kudos to this Bulls team, man. They found a way. They found a way, like you said. Zach LaVine, he really didn't have it into the fourth quarter. That's what happens when you're a closer. When you're a closer, you don't have to play the whole game. You just wait for your team to take over, and then you wait for your time to take over the game. And that's what happened with Zach LaVine today. And that's pretty much why you guys win this game. All right.
But you know what?
I don't know if necessarily the Bulls played outstanding, though. I don't think it was anything special that they did. I think this game is more of the things that the Knicks didn't do. And that's why I'm saying it's vintage Knicks, because we have been in games, and this is also the situation, not just with this Bulls game, there have been other games this entire season that I feel like we're in and we get in our own way. So I'm not even going to credit the Bulls, because I don't think they did anything spectacular. I don't think they did anything, out of the ordinary. I think this Bulls team at the meat of it is a very ordinary team. So I don't know if it's them per se. We just got in our own way. Everything that we could do incorrectly, we did. So I'm not going to give credit to Chicago. I just think this was a classic example of the Knicks doing what vintage Knicks have always done and shooting themselves in the foot time after time, possession after possession, quarter after quarter. That's what this game came down to.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But then, you know what it is? It's a make or miss league, right? So this was a winnable game for the New York Knicks, right? I do think the back-to-back was a concern for us. I think we came out flat because of the back-to-back for the first three quarters on defense, and I think it took Tom Thibodeau to kind of get up in the ass a little bit, because you saw how he was yelling at these guys in the fourth quarter when these guys wasn't really making the plays. I think it took that for them to adjust and to really start to pick it up. But at the end of the day, it's making this league, and LaVine made it. And of course, we did make some mistakes. I saw Nerlens Noel, he tried to go into the drop coverage and left LaVine out there to the open three. They had Kobe right there for open threes, and sometimes I feel like rotations were kind of slow for most of the night, except for the fourth quarter. But I give them credit for closing the game, because when we didn't, because our guys missed the shots. We had Alec Burks, for example, he actually played a decent game today, 18 points. But other guys but Burks, he didn't come on to the end. R.J. Barrett missed some open threes for us. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we shot 21% from three in general, and hurt the game. It hurt the game. And that's why I say, I give him credit for making shots when it's still, even though I do feel like we could have won that game, and the game was definitely in grasp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, also check your mic, JLS, because I'm thinking everyone says they can't hear you. So make sure you do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm playing with it.
Yeah. But I mean, also, I know everyone's going to hate me for saying this, because you guys hated me when I said it last time, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. let's talk about Thibs. Let's the elephant in the room. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just talk about it. Let's talk about the coaching. Let's talk about the rotations, or therefore the lack thereof. I don't know how many different ways to say this. I don't know how many different ways to get this across. Thibs's rotations and his stubbornness in making his rotations work is driving me crazy. It doesn't work. Figure out plan B, because plan A is not working for you. I don't know what else he needs to see that his rotations are not the answer. Do you need to consult your other coaches that are on the bench? Do you need to go ahead and watch different seasons from different teams? I mean, I don't know what it is, but your rotations are killing us. It's just adding to the pile of crap that we already have to deal with. If you look at this game, there were so many different aspects of the game that were going ahead and just shooting us in the foot. And then you add his rotations, or the lack thereof, the proper rotations into the mix. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And it blows my mind how everybody can see it except for the man who's in charge of wheeling and dealing it. Like, figure it out. Like, what else are you waiting for? I don't understand it. I don't get it.
You have anything to add to that?
No,
You're a Chicago fan, so you've seen his rotations up close in person for 3 years.
So here's what I'll say about Thibs and his rotations. During Derrick Rose's Rookie of the Year, or MVP campaign, rather, Thibs stubbornly played Keith Bogans. He started Keith Bogans all 82 games next to Derrick Rose. Keith Bogans averaged 4 points a game during that season. You know, as a Bulls fan, we were clamoring for Kyle Korver to start, even Ronnie Brewer, just anybody else besides Keith Bogans. But Thibs wanted to start Keith Bogans. The Bulls won 62 games. The fans were, a little bit upset about his rotations here and there, but the guy knew what he was doing. And in that scenario, it worked. Is this a scenario in which it's going to work? I don't know. Thibs is in a weird spot. If he starts playing all of his guys 40 minutes a game, the media, the fans are going to be like, he's riding guys too hard. Why aren't we going down the bench? If he spreads the love a little bit, trying to find something that works, obviously he's going to get it from there, the fan base in that regard when the Knicks lose. So, look,
Here. Say something.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Test.
I can't. I can't hear anything.
What the hell? It just dropped out in the middle of the test. 1 2 3. This is great. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Let's see. I see the volume is working here. Nothing changed. I don't understand. All right, I'm gonna restart the stream.
You're good now. You're good.
Huh?
No, they can hear. They can hear
You can
now.
hear?
They can hear you now.
What?
Yes.
I didn't do anything. I
Can
didn't do
you hear
anything.
us? I don't know what he did, guys.
I
don't know
didn't
what
do anything differently. I just clicked. Okay, well, it's
I-
working right now.
I can't do it.
Can you
Hey,
still hear me when I switch screens? Can you still
They
hear
can
me?
hear me. Can you guys
Okay.
hear us now? They said you have an echo though.
Now I have an echo.
If you can hear me, give me a hashtag. Let Ashley cook.
Yes. All right, Jay, I have an echo.
Where the hashtags at?
Okay, they can hear me.
They can hear you. Can they hear Corey?
Can you hear me?
Okay, they can hear me.
If you can hear me, hit that thumbs up for your boys.
Yeah, if you can hear Corey, hit the thumbs up. For
No,
you
they
boys.
can hear us because I see the hashtag. Let Ashley
Do I
cook.
still have an echo?
No, don't touch anything. They said you're good.
I'm good now?
You're good. You're good.
I'm good.
You're good.
No echo?
You're good.
Let's go. Let's cook. All right, cool. Jeez.
Don't touch anything. We good.
Yo, I'm leaving it on this screen. All right, cool.
Just leave it here. Don't even change screens. Just leave it. Do a three-way. Pause.
Man. All right, cool. All right, now I can really get loose instead of fiddling with this thing while trying to
Yeah,
get
but just do it this way. Make it easy.
I bet. All right, so here's the thing, Ashley. Here's what I have to say about the rotations. I do feel like Tom Thibodeau actually is starting to make the move because if you look at the minute distribution today in this game, don't look now, but Emmanuel quickly hit the 30-minute mark in today's game. So the guy is not slow. And the best part of today's game that I noticed was Emmanuel quickly was not only just getting minutes, but he was getting minutes with the starters. You know what I mean? And those are the minutes that I really want to see. Because I feel like yesterday when we played the Clippers, right? Now it's the echo. The echo is back.
Your echo's back.
I didn't do not a damn thing.
Your echo's back.
Oh God.
Listen, I'm not blaming Thibs completely. I think anybody who watched this game can't put all this blame on Thibs. That would be just irrational. But I just think that I understand his stubbornness, kind of his reputation rather precedes him. I get it. But there comes a point, especially in New York, with what you're trying to build and what you're trying to facilitate here, that you got to put that aside. You got to move on. I mean, I get it. I get that's who he is, but I don't care. Like, with all due respect, respectfully, I don't give a damn. Like, you're in New York, okay? We're a team that is rebuilding. We're a team that's trying to figure it out. We're a team that you signed up for. You knew what it was when you signed up. Let's make it very clear. It's not like this team changed when you got here. You knew what it was when you signed up.
Right.
So therefore, you need to go ahead and facilitate and deal with this team the way that it needs to be dealt with. And what you're doing, your stubbornness is not helping us. It's hurting us in more ways than one. So I don't know who he needs to like kind of light a fire on him and say, look, you got to get over it. You got to snap out of it. Like this, we're not doing this, but it has to happen. Like it has to happen quicker rather than later. Like I'm tired of having the same conversation. It's just over.
Well, you know what? When you talk about the stubbornness, we can talk about who is not in rotation, right? Because there's a few people that was left out of the rotation. And it recently just came out that Tom Thibodeau said that Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina are both situational rotational players now, which is crazy considering, you know, Kevin Knox he had a nice little stretch where he was, the number one corner 3 man in the league. and it seemed like he hit a stride. The defense has gotten better. The shooting has got better. But now, at this time, he's completely out of the rotation. So what do you feel about that, Ashley? Like, do you feel like that's the right move? I know you're not a Frank fan. I know that's not your guy, but I feel like you have been coming around and seeing the woes of Elfrid Payton in his ways. So do you feel like it's the right move to bench Kevin Knox completely and even Frank Ntilikina at this point?
I'm all for Frank being in the lineup. I've never had an issue with him being there. I think for me, it's been more about either use them or lose them. Like you can't play two ends to the middle. There's a saying, you can't play smart and stupid at the same time. Like it's one or the other. So I just feel like if you're going to put him in the rotation, put him in the rotation. Otherwise, get rid of him. I don't understand why Peyton gets so many chances to screw up and to harm this team, either one hand or the other, one side of the ball and the other. But Frank, somebody who defensively I think is stronger, doesn't get any time to play. I don't understand Tim's logic. Tibbs' logic. I just don't get it. I don't understand what the logic is. I don't understand, why he's choosing to give more minutes to certain people. I don't understand why he's choosing the rotations that he's doing. There doesn't seem to be any logic behind it except pride.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And pride's not a reason to screw your team over. So that's the issue that I'm having. I understand when you first get there, you're trying to do things your way. You're trying to infiltrate your system, your ideologies, all sorts of things into the system, into the culture that's already existing. You're trying to change it. You're trying to go ahead and put your stamp on it. But we're 20 plus games in now. You see it's not working. What's your plan B? And I don't think he has a plan B.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I don't think he has a plan B. I just don't. I don't think it is.
Yeah, well, how did the Bulls fans deal with this one?
I mean, when Thibs was in Chicago, it was a little bit easier to deal with because they were winning a ton of games. Like he came in, Derrick Rose won an MVP, everything was great. Then Derrick Rose got hurt, and Bulls fans were like, all right, I guess the season's going to be a wash. And he still found ways to win games. I mean, we had, Nate Robinson and John Lucas III, coming in next man up style and leading us, to playoff victories, playoff series wins and whatnot. So it was easy as a Bulls fan to deal with it. I don't know if I can say as a Wolves fan if it would have been as easy to deal with it. But at the same time, like he's won everywhere he's been. You could say that his success in Minnesota, or you could say it was a failure in Minnesota, but he took a team to the playoffs for the first time since Kevin Garnett, and they haven't been back since. To me, I think you got to give him time. I think he knows what he's doing. I'm a little shocked that Frank isn't in the rotation because theoretically he is a Thibs kind of guy. Theoretically, so there's got to be something going on, in practice. Who knows? Things maybe that we're not privy to. Because theoretically he is. It's not a shock to me at all that Kevin Knox is not in the rotation. For all the high risk, high reward stuff that Knox offers, if he's out there struggling, just learning the game, from a guy like Thibs who's going to come in, he's going to try to win every game. And yeah, you could say we need to develop players, but the guys who it looks like he's developing guys like, whatever Julius Randle is right now is not what he was last year. Right? And from a player perspective, from a value perspective, whether he's a long-term piece or not, you could say that, maybe Thibs had something to do with it. And you got to give credit to the player as well. IQ is balling out and he's earning his minutes. And like you say, he played 30 minutes tonight, closing the game. That's something to be positive about. RJ Barrett looks good, if not inconsistent at times, but he looks like he's, developing. To develop every single player on a team that, just last year, kudos to Mike Miller for the job he did. But if you put it in comparison, I think Knicks fans as a whole are going to be, a little bit happier with Thibs than, the Fizdale, the Mike Miller, the change in the guards. Now you got somebody, look, development's going to take not just this year. The Knicks aren't winning a championship this year. The fact that they're even in the playoff hunt, I think is something that most of Knicks fans are surprised about. Most of the media is surprised about, like just the fact that they're in the hunt. So,
Yeah. Okay, try that. Can you hear?
Can you hear it? I don't know what he did.
Can you hear?
I don't know what he. I don't know if like they can hear us until I read the chat. I don't know.
How about now?
I don't know. I don't. Can you hear it now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
No.
Can't hear Jay Ellis. No audio, muted.
I don't know. I hate it here, guys.
Oh my gosh. How about now?
I don't know. Can you hear it? No, they still can't hear
They
it.
lost both of us. Lost everybody.
They can only hear you, JLS. Oh, can you hear us now? Okay, they can hear me now.
Okay, what about now? Can you hear both of us?
They said they can hear
Check,
me
check.
now. They can hear me now.
Hear me?
Yes, leave it. Don't
Leave it
touch
right
it.
here. Is there
Leave
an echo?
it. Don't touch it. Don't
Is there an
touch
echo?
it. I don't know. Can you guys can hear us, right? I can't.
Is there an echo?
They're not saying there's an echo. I don't know if there's an echo until they tell me if there's an echo. Okay, we're back. We're good. We're good. We're good.
JL sounds like he's underwater.
Honestly, like well, I don't even remember what. Okay, yes, I do. This, listen. Obviously, when you are in a position where, there's not much expectation for you. Obviously, there's room for error. I get that. Nobody's arguing that. Nobody's debating that. I just think that you want to see signs of promise from your coach. You want to see signs of foundation from your coach. And I think right now what the issue is that Knicks fans are worried about what we're seeing and not seeing from Thibs. And that is why we're even having this conversation, because there's problematic issues that if you don't address them, you worry about the fact that maybe they'll go ahead and continue at the wrong time. It's easier to nip something in the bud when it's early than to do it later on. And I just would like to see him make the adjustments while he still is in the learning phase of making the adjustments. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you too, because when before Tom Thibodeau got this job, he talked about how he studied, right? He studied. He took his time off to study how other people did things, and he felt like he was going to change the way he coached. And at this time, I'm not sure if he's exactly done that. I think he might have tweaked it a little bit, but you still starting to see. Only hear JLS.
I don't know. I give up. They said they can hear. I don't know.
They said we
They can
could.
hear us. They can
I hear Ash.
hear all of us. I don't know.
I hear Ash. No echo. Yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Y'all scared me. All right. I hear all now. Okay, cool. All right. I was like, I thought I was bugging. All right, cool. So, when Thibs went on his hiatus and he wasn't coaching for a while, he said that he went and he studied other teams and studied how to do things. And I do feel like he did take some steps forward in his coaching and adjusting, how to play certain type of defenses and just relating to the players more a little bit. But there's still some things he has to work on. I still do feel like he's a little bit stubborn in his minutes distribution. It's still baffling that Knox hasn't even been in rotation in the last 2 games after he's been playing well. Because this kid Knox, he's very, I don't know, like I feel like he's a little bit fragile in the mind sometimes, and I feel like me talking about who benching can hurt, you think about Knox, because he's a guy who he felt like he really lost his confidence last season. So I do like the pros, right? Julius Randle is better, Mitchell Robinson is better. RJ Barrett has turned the corner. All around, this is still the best coach that we've had in years because we are simply winning. But it's going to be, a balancing act, trying to balance winning and developing these guys. And it seems like, DSJ, he said, screw it. Put me in the G League. I'm out. Like he's like, I'm not dealing with this no more. And kudos to DSJ for recognizing that, Emmanuel Quigley is the man. I need to get my reps out. I have to take control of my career. And it sucks, but, some of these other guys might have to do the same thing and kind of take control of their own destiny. You know what I mean?
Listen, before we go any further, shout out to Chuck D in the chat, always rocking with us, even through all of our technical difficulties.
Yeah, man.
with the $100 super chat, holding it down for KnicksFanTV. Listen, you know, Jay Ellis is on the ones and twos tonight.
Jay Ellis is on the ones and twos tonight.
And
It's
he's
been
a
a
little
minute.
rusty.
Yeah, I'm a little. It's been a year since I've done this, so sorry guys, but I'm getting back on this bike and I'm gonna pedal this thing all the way. All right, so shout out to Chuck D, the rhyme animal, and shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Hashtag new for anybody's new chat and is new. Let me just shout you guys out for a second, take a deep breather, just to recognize everybody's rocking the chat, and thank you guys for being patient while I figure out how to do this audio thing on the fly live. For sure, all right?
It's a rebuild.
It's a rebuild. We're rebuilding too, right? And also shout out to Stevens B. He said with the $9.99 super chat, $10 super chat. He says, all I'm gonna say is the Knicks have no business being 9-13, but here we are competing every night. Be patient. I see promise. He's building the foundation, changing the culture. Give it more time.
Exactly. And shout out to everybody who's the all 72 gang, because the Knicks have lost 5 of the last 6, but y'all could be anywhere in the world, but y'all here with us rocking us on KnicksFanTV. All right.
Do you know who lost 6 of their last 6? The Dallas Mavericks.
Hey, faith for K. That is the bright spot.
When all fails, just remember we could be the Dallas Mavericks, and we're not. Okay. Exactly. That is the silver lining in every situation. We could be the Mavs and we are not. So exactly. There we go.
Nice. Now
it'd be worse.
Yeah. Now, you know what? This is a perfect time for Corey to be here, right? Because Corey is a Bulls fan, and Corey, I don't know if you know this, but Ash, she's representing the Knicks she's the head of our negotiating staff. She's head Viking in charge, right? So when the trades go down, when the trades go down and we're trying to figure out who we're swapping and who we're trading, we're sending Ash on the front line. So here's our question, right?
Okay.
We all know that Zach LaVine, he's been in rumors recently. The Knicks and other teams are monitoring the Zach LaVine situation, right? So we Knicks fans, we throw our own trade scenarios out here. Ooh, we'll give out, usually some a second round pick for Zach LaVine. We usually say something crazy like that, right? My question to you as a Bulls fan is, as a fan, who are you willing to trade for Zach LaVine? And
let's talk
does
business.
That include a combination of Frank, Knox, a second rounder, and maybe 2 more second rounders? So 3 second rounders.
I actually adjusted my trade offering a little bit. I said I'll give Kevin Knox, Frank. Mm-hmm. I said Austin Rivers.
Rivers. That's a good value deal.
I'll throw DSJ in there, and a first round pick for Zach LaVine.
First round pick, 2023.
What do you? Come on,
really sweeten the deal.
Good deal.
Look, we're gonna have to get like the fantasy, commission to veto this to even going through the pipeline. I don't think the Knicks and the Bulls are good trade partners. I mentioned it before. I don't know if my mic was working earlier in the stream, but I think that Zach LaVine is definitely not like off the table for teams, just like I think Julius Randle is not off the table for teams. Mm-hmm. But I think that with the play of a guy like Zach LaVine, like Julius Randle, the price has gone up because they're balling out. Zach LaVine's at like 28 points a game, basically 50, 40, 90. He is straight up hooping right now. And I think that just like the Knicks, the Bulls have a new front office, a new coach. It's a very similar situation. And I think that with Zach LaVine's play, he's on a $19 million a year contract this year and next year. So value deal for the production that he gives you. I think that the Bulls are going to look at this. The front office is going to look at it and say, why are we not trying to put pieces around him to build? Why are we going to go backwards again? And I think the Knicks are going to be in the same spot, right? Like Julius Randle, it's Julius and Zach. It's like, what are we going to do? Are they a part of the future? How much are we going to want to pay them to now? Are they going to be able to do this consistently? Is this who they are? That's more so the question. And I think to do that, both teams are going to want to put better players around. So I don't think that either team with those guys who I think are very similar and the impact they're having for their franchises, I don't think they're going to be on the move. This is not a Marcus Morris situation where you're just like, yo, let's get a late round pick. Let's get the value while we can. Because I think both guys are proving that they're still young, still growing, still getting better. And, I think both teams are just going to say, let's see what we have. I mean, especially now that with Zach.
But does that work for Zach, though, is the question? Because he's, 25 right now?
Yeah.
So 25 years old, you're kind of in your prime. I consider prime basketball years between 25 and 30, 29, depending on the guy.
No doubt.
If you're a basketball player in your prime like Zach LaVine is, are you okay waiting that out? Or do you request to be traded to a team that shows some promise? Because I think the Bulls, just like the Knicks, depending on who you ask and depending on how you value certain things within the sport of basketball, the Bulls may have more work to do than the Knicks do per se. And if I were a guy of Zach LaVine's talent, I don't want to waste my good years while you guys try to figure it out. That's not my problem.
What's interesting though? Last year, the Bulls, Zach wanted to leave last year because the Bulls were having problems, right? There was a coaching problem. I'm not sure what
everybody wanted to leave Jim Boylan. I don't even want to. I don't like saying his name. He's like Voldemort.
Yeah, so I don't know if that situation has exactly changed. So I don't know what his mindset is right now, but that might have left. Now, at the same time, I do feel like some of the Knicks pieces, just because of the market we're in, when somebody does a little bit well, it just blows up. Case in point, Emmanuel quickly on the back page, and the Nets a little bit of corner when he scored 145 points. Somebody cared, right? That's what it seemed like. That's the perception. That was the perception anyway. So I will say this, because of our market and because of the couture of the allure of New York, I do feel like guys like Kenny Payne and Tom Thibodeau, they might attract players, but I'm not sure how much of that is going to affect Zach LaVine at this point, considering I feel like they're on the edge, right? They're kind of in the same situation we are at, where they're teetering around 500, and they could go either way depending on the situation.
Yeah, you nailed it. Last year, everybody wanted to leave. This year, new front office, new coach, Billy Donovan, a guy who's won national championships at Florida, had success as a coach in the league with Oklahoma City. He's playing the best basketball of his career. The Bulls are in the playoff hunt. I think everything that he was unhappy about last year, he is now happy about. That doesn't mean he's satisfied. It doesn't mean he doesn't want more. But for him, if you're Zach LaVine and you're going to request a trade, it's not to do, some lateral move. And I think he would look at New York as a lateral move, because it's not even about the market, right? Because Chicago is one of the biggest markets in the league. It's not like he's playing for, Minnesota or Cleveland. He's, he's playing for one of the, 3 biggest markets in the league. And then, it's the same kind of situation. Great coach, new front office. To me, if he's trying to leave, he's going to go to a Denver, one of those teams that's on the edge. They just need that person to put them over the edge. So to me, that's not New York. And can I see that happening? If the price is right, sure. Because like I said, he's not the level of player that you just say he's untradeable, right? He's a guy, he hasn't been to the playoffs
yet. Same like Julius Randle.
Same thing. Right. Yeah. So, but you also don't want to just give him away and give up on him, because he's a guy who's averaging nearly 30 points a game on, 50, 40, 90 shooting. So to me, I think they're going to put pieces around him. If some team comes in, blows him away with, the Bradley Beal package, maybe. But I think they're going to try to build with him. I think, that's why the Lonzo rumors are coming around, because I think they're going to try to put, and Lonzo rumors to New York too, right? It's the same thing. They want that connector. These two teams, they're so similar. They're so in sync right now. So I think they want to put the pieces to see if, hey, can this guy be a playoff guy? And what happens when he gets in the playoffs? So that's what I think, personally. I don't know. The new front office, very tight-lipped. Nobody really has a read on him. It seems like Woj is the only guy who has accurate reporting.
Right, for sure.
The last Bulls regime, it was, a lot of the beat guys had really good info, and now it's nothing. So, I don't know if the Lonzo rumors are true. I don't know if,
Yeah,
you know,
nobody
what's
really
up.
knows at this point.
Yeah.
It'll happen when it happens, Woj style. But I think they're going to try to build around Zach, at least going into the offseason. And if they do trade him, they'll trade him at the deadline next year before they have to, throw the bag at him.
Yeah, and the same for Julius Randle. The exact same situation. All right. Now, salute to the chat, man. We got some super chats that just came in. All right. So shout out to Stevens B. Gullamy. He says Bulls have a new front office, new coach. They're better off starting from scratch. I agree that the Knicks are better in position than the Bulls in terms of young core and salary cap.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to Alan Berman, who says salute. Thought Dizzy Gang Randall was a thing of the past, but dude clearly had some PTSD at the end of the game, coughing that up. Wish he just muscled Laurie instead of the finesse the 10. I feel you on that, man. I feel you. And speaking of the game, listen, man.
How do you feel Obi did?
Yeah, Obi is another guy who is on Tom Thibodeau's list right now. His minutes are shrinking. He seemed to have said it at him a little bit. Quickly took him out in the fourth quarter for Julius Randle when he felt like things was going awry. So obviously, Tom Thibodeau, he just trusts his veterans more. Even if the veterans are playing bad, he trusts them more than rookies playing bad, and that's evident in this thing. And that's what worries me. But listen, the Knicks lose. Knicks lose to the Bulls. Shout out to the guys listening. 110-102. Knicks lose to the Bulls on the game of the back-to-back. The Bulls have the 5th best three-point shooting percentage in the NBA. So we know we struggled on these teams that can shoot well, and today was no different. The defense, right, was lackadaisical for the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
We only led shortly in that first quarter by 2 points, and it was all Bulls from then. Lauri Markkanen was getting his points in every which way, backcourt cuts, slow transition threes, and taking Julius to school. And he cooled down at the end because of the Knicks defense, but a lot of the damage had to do with Lauri Markkanen, and Zach LaVine at the end brought those guys home. And it was all she wrote. We saw old Julius Randle today, too. We saw Julius Randle, like somebody just said. The no-hander Randles came back. The spin cycle came. Turnover at the end. I was throwing stuff at the screen. I was like, This is the Julius Randle. I thought we left this guy last year in 2020.
Yeah. I think also it's interesting to see what's happening with Randle and Obi. I don't know what Thibs' plan with Obi is. That's another guy I'm confused on what the plan is, because I don't know how he can develop. The conversation we've been all having is, you can keep Randle while you're developing Obi, and then from there make a decision if it's necessary to keep them both, or if Obi has it in him enough to go ahead and kind of handle the weight that's going to be put on his shoulders once he's that guy. So I don't know, though, how you can make that assessment if he's that guy, if he doesn't get the opportunity to grow into that guy. I just feel like Thibs is kind of limiting and hindering his development because he's relying so heavily on Randle, which, I can understand relying heavily on him. He's the vet. He's been there before. You know what you're going to get from him. Obi, the jury's still out. But how is he supposed to grow and not get lost in the sauce, if you will, if he doesn't have any direction or opportunities to develop? I don't understand how that's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's supposed to happen out of thin air, like in practice. Like, when is it supposed to transpire?
Well, I'll give you a little Bulls perspective on this, because obviously you're right. You want to play minutes, right? If you want to see development, the only way to actually see if you're developing is to be on the court playing minutes. But I think this is where Taj is going to be really important for this team. Taj is a guy who watched this situation play out in Chicago. Jimmy Butler averaged 2 points a game his rookie year. He was getting, basically no time. But he had little moments throughout the year that you looked at and you went, okay, he's going to be a player. Now I think Obi is going to have, get more minutes than Jimmy Butler did as a rookie. Jimmy Butler was a 30th pick. Nobody knew he was going to be a guy who could lead a team to the NBA Finals.
Top 10 for sure.
Yeah, but nobody expected Julius Randle to be playing like this. And I mean, honestly, you can't play Obi and Julius Randle at the same time, and this is one of the concerns with Obi coming into the draft, was that he's not going to be able to really play the 5 because he can't guard. He might be able to block some shots at the rim, but, he can't move on the perimeter. He can't do all these things. So you can't really play them together. So if Julius Randle is playing the way that he is so consistently, it's going to be hard to get Obi minutes. And, there was some talk at the beginning of the year, well, maybe we could put him at the 3, like wipe that out. That's not happening. He's not a 3. He's a power forward. So right now the roster construction doesn't really lend him to be able to kind of play on at the same time with Julius. And if he could just be mentally tough enough and deal with it. And that's why, again, I think Taj is got to be in his ear saying, look, Jimmy Butler had Luol Deng in front of him. He had Rip Hamilton in front of him. Just play through it, grind through it. It's a long season. You're going to get your opportunities. A lot of games to be played next year. That's what he's got to do. If he could do that, then, it's not necessarily the worst thing for him to be brought along slowly, even though he is a top 10 pick.
Exactly.
It's all about his mentality. And look, if you look at every picture taken of Obi Toppin, that dude's smiling ear to ear. You could see it under his mask.
Yes. Yesterday he wasn't. Yesterday he was
not happy yesterday.
But, you don't know, Corey, but our guards haven't exactly passing the ball consistently. Although I will say today there was more of a concerted effort to get him the ball in the post, and I do feel like they were looking for him for lobs in the 9 minutes he did play. Right. Yeah. But still, it was still only 9 minutes.
Well, that's the other thing too. The Knicks big man, Nerlens Noel and Mitch, like theoretically they do fit with Obi because Obi could stretch the floor a little bit. But if you're only using him to stretch the floor, you're also not really allowing him to thrive because he is that threat as a roll man, bringing gravity to the rim, and especially with IQ and his float game, and especially with a team like the Bulls, they play drop coverage like. You put IQ and Obi in a pick and roll, it's tough to guard because you're either giving up the floater or you're giving up the dunk. So he can't really do that with Mitch or Nerlens Noel because they're not spacing the floor. So, that situation, if the Knicks could get another guy who could stretch the floor, it might help them too.
I think also, I agree with that too. And I don't have an issue with that, but I think it's different maybe when you're a younger rookie, and I put younger in quotations because Obi's not old. He's like 22, 23 years old. But I think when you're in your 22, 23, you expect that you're going to play them more because they've been doing it longer. It's not like you're taking someone who was a one and done. He's been through all years of college. So like you would expect to have him and be able to implement him in some aspect,
right,
and be able to do it consistently. Maybe not, I'm not saying to, play him 40 minutes a game. I'm saying you should be able to play him at least 10 minutes a game, maybe 15 minutes a game.
I agree with you.
The game. I don't understand why he's getting hardly any playing time when it's somebody who has the experience to a degree of playing for a long period of time. You know what I mean?
Well,
that was a selling point. He was going to be ready to come in and contribute.
Yeah, he was supposed to be NBA ready. That was the whole selling point of Obi. So if that's the case, if that's why you drafted him, if that was one of, the checks on his list, then where is the same energy now that you actually have him? What are we doing?
Well, maybe he's not as ready as we thought, and that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world because we can still buy him some time. It's not like an Elfrid Payton IQ situation, right? Where it's clear. It's absolutely clear. Even though Elfrid Payton is the starter, is the veteran, IQ is obviously the guy because you saw IQ got 30 minutes today compared to Elfrid Payton's 17. So it's a whole different dynamic for those guys. And you can even see how slowly Tom brought IQ along. Even seeing with his own eyes.
Which was annoying. But
it happened. We're here. We're 21 games here, and it happened. But for these young guys to really get these minutes, they're gonna have to punch people in the mouth. That's point blank period.
But how is he supposed to punch somebody in the mouth if he can never play? If he doesn't get the ball in his hand, if nobody passes him the ball, if there are no plays to utilize his strengths and what he can do right now? I understand that he has areas in his game that he needs to go ahead and not only get better at, but he needs to add. I'm not saying he has all the tricks in his bag. He has to add tricks and he has to perfect tricks. But how can you go ahead and fight for your right to play, if you will, if you really never get the opportunity to showcase that? You're supposed to do it in practice? Is that the only time you have in scrimmages? Is that the only time you have to showcase what you can contribute to the team? I just don't understand how he's supposed to work the system when the system's working him.
he has to do the most he can do in those limited minutes he has. Just to show it in practice. He has to stay late in practice, and when he gets into games, he has to capitalize on his opportunities. He has to block shots. He has to rotate well. He has to make his shots and make the correct decisions consistently for him to put him in the lineup. And it's going to be hard for Tom Thibodeau. Like I said, it's going to be harder because listen, these vets, they get the luxury of being able to miss shots and still play hard and still get playing time, even though they're missing shots.
Your name's got to be Alfred. Your name's got to be Alfred Payton. That's the only way it works.
Yeah,
but apparently. Yeah.
For the young guys, for me, it seems like you have to make shots and you have to play the correct way. Because right now, when I saw Austin Rivers today, right, there was a play when Austin Rivers he played like, okay, IQ towards the end of the fourth quarter. IQ was doing his heat check thing. IQ threw up a shot 30 feet behind the 3-point line. Right? Austin Rivers is in the corner pissed. He was so pissed, he decided not to play real defense on the other end of the court. The Bulls ended up scoring. Tom calls timeout, and he's pissed. And I'm sitting there looking at this, like, this is exactly why I say when Austin Rivers is not going well, to take him out the game. Because I know why he didn't play well. He didn't do that. He did that because he was pissed that he didn't get the ball. But instead of Tom taking him out the game, like he probably would have took a rookie out the game at that moment, he calls time out. He puts him back in. The very next play, IQ passes the ball. He chucks up a three. Between the legs, chucks up a three, ill-advised three, and then the lead snowballs on the other side. So it's like Tom gives grace to these guys because I guess in his mind they earned it, In his mind they earned it. But I do feel it sucks.
Alfred earned it?
It's because they earned it within their career, not necessarily with the Knicks.
Oh, okay.
But within their career, right? He feels like they earned it because they were a vet and they've been here year after year. And even though they're not earning it on the floor today, I just feel like he just gives them a lot more leeway, and it sucks. And I do like what Tom has done with this team because we're still playing a lot better. But I really wish another coach would get in his hair. Mike Woodson, Kenny Payne, Johnny Bryan.
And I mean, Mike's right there. He's right there.
Right. And,
he's right there. Like, don't have to go far.
You didn't have to go far. And about Obi, too. When you're talking about Obi, you also have to remember, like, Obi was redshirted his first year when he was at Dayton. It didn't really play that well the next year. And then the year after that, he learned from himself. He got beat up. After his redshirt year, he got beat up. And the following year, he led his team. They only lost, 3 games that year when he was with Dayton. So even though Obi is struggling at this point, and it sucks, it can still turn around for this kid because I do feel like Obi has that thing that RJ has, that like I'm not quitting, and he's here because of that I'm not quitting attitude because he got drafted top 10 from Dayton, like he not a big place Dayton, so I do feel like he's gonna take
Steph Curry.
Yeah. He's gonna take that. He's taking these L's to heart. He's gonna take it to heart, and even if he doesn't get it together this year or the end of this year, I do feel like eventually he's going to turn around. He's going to work his game. He's gonna hit his jumpers. He's gonna hit his post up. I did like the post up he got today. I feel like he'll be fine. I do feel like he'll be fine, but he's gonna have to take it from Tom because Tom is a little bit stubborn, and that's all I have to say about that. All right. Salute to Knicks Nations. I think I saw a super chat. I don't have.
There was like 3 that came in, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Gotcha Open says, I need Jay Ellis to do the Young Simba theme. The extended version? I don't love. Okay, I love Lion King, but I do not know the whole.
I know it. Song. I think it goes. No, actually, I don't.
Okay.
Isn't it like Chibenya Bobonitsu? I don't know. That's all I know.
That's all I know, Ash. That's what I'm saying. He wants me to do the whole song.
I don't know the extended. Can you drop the lyrics?
I don't know the extended real quick? Broadway long. I don't know. But shout out to Young Simba. Shout out to you, Young Simba. That's what you know. I don't even know if you're in the chat, but they just want me to do that. All right.
Also, shout out to Ronald Hansley Jr. He says Thibs has as much faith in Peyton as Jay Ellis has in Frank Ingerina. If Thibs has the same faith in IQ, then we wouldn't have to always dig ourselves up out of the hole. Give IQ the keys.
Yo, IQ got 30 minutes today, man. Elfrid Payton got Elfrid Payton started, but he got backup minutes today. All right, the change is coming. The change is coming. I wonder what's going to happen during this free agency period when we can make trades. If they're actually going to look for another guard to maybe play back up to IQ. Who knows? Somebody can shoot. That would be nice. I would like that. All right.
We also have Paul Robinson. He says defense was bad until the fourth, but that's rare. Our trash shooting has been consistent. All these trash teams got shooters, but we only got 2. Sign a random shooter and our record improves a lot. But who's there to sign is the question.
Yeah, our shooters haven't been hitting, man. Our shooters have not been hitting. That's been a big problem. Austin Rivers, Alec Burks, Bullock. None of these guys was giving us any help. And listen, we were in this game playing badly. We were in this game playing really badly. If we have one guy who can shoot, we would have won this game. And also, it didn't help that RJ Barrett got into foul trouble, and he's been the guy that's been consistent for us throughout this 10-game stretch. So him sitting out a lump of that second quarter didn't help. It didn't help at all. All right. You know what? Let me get to some of these questions too, because there's a bunch of questions to sheet, and me filling with the sound stuff. I got those questions. So yeah, I know. So, yeah. So first of all, yeah. Question number 1: did Thibs get out coached?
Corey. I think Thibs shot himself in the foot at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Knicks it seemed like they had a little bit of momentum. I thought the lineup he had out there, he probably should have went to the vets a little bit more, because I think that they needed somebody, a team, guys on the floor that could keep pushing, keep coming at the Bulls, especially because I think the Bulls didn't have Kobe, Zach, or Laurie on the floor. And when that happens, I mean, you're talking about.
Your sound went out, Corey.
Sound went out.
I think your dog took out your.
Yeah. Am I good? Am I good? Yeah. When the Bulls had that lineup on the floor, that was the time for the Knicks to really come and take the game. So I think, at the beginning, and that's not really out coaching, because I don't know why Billy Donovan went with all 3 of those dudes not on the floor at one time either. So I don't know if either coach out coached one another. I think it was even in that regard. It just came down, Bulls hit shots, the Knicks didn't. And look, we're back Wednesday, same deal. So it could flip like that.
Right. All right. Cool. Next question. Are you encouraged by Quickly's growth on ball as I am? He's a low turnover player. And on that end, he can shoot the line from 3. He's already got 3.5 assists and low assist to turnover ratio. Yeah, I'm very happy with Quickly on ball. We didn't really expect him to be the point guard that he is. He's supposed to be just a guy who can shoot, right? But I know some people feel like he doesn't pass the ball enough. I don't, and that case could be made. I see Ashley's face going, man. He does heat check a lot, but I will say this: I do feel like Tom Thibodeau encourages his guards to shoot more and to drive more. So I think that's less about Quickly being willing to pass and more about the coach trying to take advantage of his strengths. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like today, like you saw today, he was more a facilitator today than he was yesterday, right? Because he was playing with the first unit. And how much? I think he had like 8 assists today, right? He finished with 7 assists today. So I think today he made a more concerted effort to pass the ball. And when his role changes depending on his lineup, I feel like he'll be more willing to do that on a more consistent basis.
I mean, I actually don't have an issue with him not passing. I think if we had a team full of shooters and he's out there heat checking and chucking up 30-footers every time he has the ball in his hand, then yeah, it'd be an issue. But we don't have the shooters, and when he shoots, he usually hits. So
He's
I
making
don't
them.
have a problem. Like, what's the issue? Yeah, I mean, technically, your point guard is supposed to facilitate the game, supposed to go ahead and, control the momentum of the game and things like that. And that's a criticism that people have of Kyrie Irving, that he takes way too many shots. You know what I mean? But this is not the Nets. We don't have those kind of shooters. We don't have those kind of scorers. So right now, if you have the hot hand and when you shoot, it hits and it goes swish, I'm all good. You don't need to pass the rock. You're to pass it to who? Who else is going to take the shots that he takes and consistently make them? So, I mean, he just needs to continue what he's doing. And then if our team changes and now you have somebody else who you can consistently rely on to take those shots, then you got to kind of start, preaching and teaching about, passing the ball out and facilitating the game more and doing things like that. But right now we are not there. So IQ, keep on shooting, my guy. Make it rain every time you have the
keep
ball
on
in
shooting.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. I said, well, we already know this one. If Peyton is in for our defense and he's not the best player guard on the team, on the other team, I think I'm trying to see what he's saying. He should be benched, and Frank needs the minutes and let quickly start. You're preaching to the choir. You're preaching to the choir, man. Start quickly and let Frank play the defense. He's a better shot. Shooting those long balls than anybody else, or at least let Frank share the minutes with Elfrid Payton at some point. If you're not just gonna bench him completely, because that's gonna be kind of debilitating for a vet, right? Just to see what he has, because it's not working all the time. You know what I mean?
I think Frank did something to Thibs. I don't know what it is. He had to do something.
Yo, you were right, Ashley. I must say, conspiracy theory was dead on.
Is it a conspiracy theory though? Is it a conspiracy theory? Or is it like a high possibility, probability, factual facts?
Nah, it was a factual fact. I'm not gonna lie. If you missed the show last time, Ashley pretty much was like, she called Cap. She called Cap on time.
Cap.
she called Cap because Tom said that Frank was injured, and that's why he wasn't playing in the game. But if you look at the the lineups, it says DNP, coach's decision. It doesn't say injured. So
leave that there.
We gonna leave that.
Discuss.
We gonna leave that there, man. We gonna
discuss that. I just think, going back, because Corey wasn't here, I just think that Thibs doesn't have a place for him, and you know what? That's fine. I'm not going to, diss him for that, but I'm a firm believer, then set him free. Like, what are you holding him for? What are you holding a roster space for? What are you paying him for if you have no intention on utilizing him? I mean, you're basically leaving him on the bench to die, and that's whack. Like, either let him go to the G League, and maybe you need to see with your own eyes what he's capable of at this moment in time. Or if you don't care what he's capable of at this moment in time, which is fine, I wouldn't understand it, but it's fine, set him free. Let him develop, let him grow, let him play someplace else. Like, you got to make a decision. We're 4 years in. We got to figure it out. I'm not trying to have this conversation next year. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. All right. But shout out to everybody watching Knicks Fan TV. Thanks for bearing with us and bearing with the audio issues. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, rocking with your fellow Knicks fans. Ash, Corey, before we wrap up, tell me your takeaways from this game, man. Any lasting words and takeaways that you want to take from this game? Something that left a lasting impression?
Look, I think it's two evenly matched teams, and I think that their games are going to be competitive. I think that both coaches are excellent coaches in top tier. They're going to come look at the game film and come with a strategy to kind of fix the things that went wrong in this game on both sides. But I think that both teams, at least from the Bulls' perspective, they played their game. I think that the Knicks tried playing their game. They just weren't hitting shots. And like I said, they're both teams that are going to be inconsistent. They're young, learning how to win. So you're going to deal with nights like this.
Awesome. Ash?
I think, agreeing with all those points, I think, the Bulls didn't do anything spectacular. I think this was something that the Knicks could have easily won. I think that we got in our own way a lot of this game. I don't think, the Bulls did anything to us to make it hard for us. We made it hard for ourselves. And that was the most unfortunate part about this entire game. You know, obviously the things with Thibs and the rotations and things like that are in the conversation as well. But I just want to see Wednesday night for us to just go out and just get out of our own way. Like that's just, it's as simple as that. Like do what you know how to do. Play defense. The defense was Swiss cheese, like I said earlier in the show. It was so inconsistent. Obviously, you run the risk of sometimes, because we don't have the shooters, your offense isn't always going to click. Your defense always travels. That is your best offense. And a team against the like the Bulls, who, you know, are struggling in their own identity and struggling in their own way that they play the game, it shouldn't be this difficult. It shouldn't be difficult to get a dub on them. And we just made it more difficult than it had to be. So Wednesday, I want to see them snap out of whatever they had going on with them today and just go out there and play basketball. Like, stop making it so hard.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was a back-to-back, so I will say this. Usually it's really hard to win on these back-to-back games, man, especially with Thibs. He likes to play the players' big minutes, and we have a couple of guys out of rotation, so he did it again. But my takeaways for this game is, like everybody else, the defense was atrocious. I feel like these guys were pretty much scoring on secondary fast breaks off of missed baskets. When you have teams scoring off of missed baskets and not turnovers, to me, that's a sign of laziness. It's a sign of tired legs. It's a sign of they didn't have the fighting spirit. They just didn't want it. And I've seen that happen numerous times through that whole night. And the Knicks shot themselves in the foot when they didn't put it their 100% on. They're all on that side of the ball. Also, a lot of back cuts were missed. Also, I felt like we weren't talking well on the defensive end at all. A lot of looking, a lot of, is that your man, not really saying anything. The only person I really saw doing anything defensively in this game to me was Nerlens Noel, who had like a feast or famine defensive game as well, you know? Because Nerlens Noel had 5 blocks today. He was an animal poking the ball from behind, but he also had some defensive lapses as well. And that's why Mitch Robinson ended up on the bench for most of the time, you know what I'm saying? But the defense definitely needs to pick up. But the second thing I have to notice is the changing of the guard is happening. We're seeing it happen before our eyes. Emmanuel Quickly is taking over. All right, so the league better get ready. The Florida game was going a little bit today. He wasn't. He didn't go. He didn't have the monster game, but you can see it's coming. You can see the results of him being on the floor. We made a push.
And you know what? And Clyde said something interesting about him, like before the game started. He said he actually likes him coming off the bench because he likes what he gives to that second unit. And I never really, I mean, I looked at it like that, but I'm a firm believer, you know, I want to start off hot and finish hot. The second unit, yeah, I get it. I just think that right now that's his niche. I think right now it's beneficial because also, you know, coming off the bench and then being a starter can, you know, mind screw with you a little bit. Mm-hmm. But he's got to be our starter by All-Star break. It just makes sense. Give him the keys. Like, give him the keys.
Give that man the keys, man. DJ Khaled, get that man the keys. It's time to start that, man. But I do believe that he does have a little bit of a point, and I do like how Tom staggered the minutes more today, where he played with the starting unit. Because if you do notice, it doesn't really take like a basketball science to see that when Quickly was in the game, we started to catch up. Right? Did anybody just notice that? Or was it just...
I did, yeah.
Okay. You noticed too. All right, cool.
I peeped.
So that, and 3 is we need threes. We need threes. We are one of the best defensive teams exactly in the league, except for tonight. But as bad as we played, if we just hit a couple of open shots, we were right in that game. Only shot 20% from the 3-point line as the Bulls was raining threes on our head. And if you want to win games, even though, you know, playing defense, be a top contender in this league, we're going to need 3-point shooting. So hopefully we'll be able to address that during this trade period, or at least in the offseason. And yeah, we should be good to go for sure. All right. All right, man. All right. That was our show. We made it. We made it.
Hard work pays off. Hard work pays off.
Oh man, we made it.
Trying to figure. Thank you guys, because I was trying to figure with the sound as you guys was talking to figure out what was working and wasn't. So thank you guys for doing your thing. All right. Yo, Ash, you tell them where to find you.
Let our guests go first. Corey, plug yourself. You're so rude.
My bad.
I appreciate that. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardwood Herald, YouTube Hardwood Herald, same thing. You know, I'm the draft guy, so you want those draft breakdowns and start pumping them out. And I got some other cool stuff planned. Gonna come out the second issue of the magazine, so we're doing it.
Yeah, definitely cop the magazine. His YouTube channel is pretty nice. I'm surprised the subscriber count isn't that high yet, but definitely get on it before everybody else does, right?
So it's like GameStop stock.
Yeah, exactly.
It's on the rise.
It's on the rise. What would you say that? No, Donkey Coin or whatever that.
Yo, did you guys listen to that?
Let's go.
Oh, well, you don't have Clubhouse JL, so I know you weren't there. Corey, do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Were you on that chat room, Clubhouse with Elon Musk?
No.
Oh man, he was giving.
I missed it.
He was giving the CEO of Robinhood the business, like schooling it. I was like, yes, for this energy, I'm here for. This was worth staying up till 2 a.m. I'm with it.
For the little people, man.
Stick it to the man, up the punks, all of it.
All of that, man.
I was here for it.
It
was great. All right, guys. As normal, as usual, you can follow me at Ash Nicole Moss on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow my YouTube channel, All In with Ashley Nicole. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. I know it was a little chaotic, but we'll be better on Wednesday, I promise.
Facts.
Also, just a heads up, we did have a bunch of cool interviews scheduled this week. Victor Cruz and one that was not announced yet. We're going to go ahead and have to reschedule those until CP gets back.
Right.
So I'm sorry about that, but it will definitely be worth the wait once we go ahead and get that going. So make sure you guys tune in to the channel, check out all the socials for the updated date for that. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you, Ash. Good job today, as usual. All right. So you know what? I'm gonna let you know. Shout out to everybody watching. You can definitely find the Nick of Time Show on youtube.com/NickofTimeShow. All right. And you can also follow me on all social media on the KOT Show on Twitter, the Nick of Time Show on Instagram, and Nick of Time Show on Facebook. Also check out the blog on the Nick of Time Show. And cop some merch is there as well. All right. And we're also on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher if you want to listen to any KOT content that you can't see, you just want to hear. All right.
Oh, wait, JLs, before you close out, everyone's asking, is CP okay? He's fine.
Yeah.
Just has some stuff that he has to take care of, but he is okay.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone. I know it's a crazy time right now.
Yeah.
He's okay. He's fine. I spoke to him not that long. He's fine. So just want to put that out.
Cool. Yeah, he just has to handle some business. And usually I like to test before I do live streams, but everything happens so fast I didn't get a chance to test. But we tested live on air, so the next one we're gonna be good to go. All right.
Yeah, CP's on load management. We carrying the weight. He's on load management.
All right, man. All right, that is our show.